Welcome back, everybody. It is season 3 time.
We're kicking it off, season 3. Let's go.
First one was horror. Second was Nicolas Cage. We were moved on to through the random gods gave us the
the RNG gods.
The RNG gods gave us the sci-fi genre.
Sci-fi. And if you haven't listened to our previous 2 seasons, as we mentioned before, you should go listen to them.
Yeah.
Because they're good.
Yeah, they're not bad. We had fun with them. And we're kicking it off pretty wild. Today we watched A Scanner Darkly, which was written, or not written, but it's based off of a book of the same title. I believe it might be of the same title.
Yeah, I think it is of the same title.
What's his name?
Philip K. Dick. He's the same author that wrote
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Which is what the movie Blade Runner was based on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty renowned sci-fi author. Didn't even know when we picked this movie, to be honest. Like, what a perfect movie to start off the sci-fi season.
Just something super cerebral. Like, just like, I'll admit I'm a little confused after watching that movie.
Yeah, I think we can break it down a little bit.
We'll break it down. But yeah, obviously this is a rotoscoped movie. If you don't know what rotoscoping is, it's when you have or in this case, you have a video of something, right? You have like in every frame is like a different photo in of itself. So you like place that photo on whatever art program and you trace over it. And then you do that for each individual frame. And that is essentially what rotoscoping is.
And you get like super realistic looking animations from going through the rotoscoping process, basically. So like in like super early animations, it was
like
basically
early Disney.
Yeah, like 30s and 40s. It wasn't even popularized by Disney himself or created, or by Disney cartoons. I actually have somewhat of an extensive knowledge on rotoscoping because there was a failed project. It's stuck in development hell right now.
Yeah, may never come out.
So I made a little rotoscope animation and tried to do a little bit of research on it for a video, but maybe we'll get back to it. But so rotoscoping was developed by Max Fleischer, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he was the I think he invented the character of Betty Boop. And or no, he didn't invent the character, but he brought Betty Boop and Popeye to like the screen through animation. And one of the rotoscoping pieces of work that he has done that's super popular is the old Superman cartoons. They're like dun na 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 na. It's like I'm pretty sure those. Well, I haven't read a lot of the early Superman comics, so I don't want to take this with a grain of salt. No research was done behind this last statement, but it's like one of the first instances, if not the first, of look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Okay.
So yeah, it may have originated from that, but it's one of the first, like in the 40s Superman cartoons.
It was used a lot back in the day, more so than it is now. Yeah. Like, and I feel like it's taken on a different form now, where it's like back then you could kind of disguise your rotoscoping as like, like Superman or whatever. It still looked kind of cartoony, but when you see this, you're like, yeah, that's just you're drawing over different frames, Yeah, like it's kind of changed in that. Not changed, but it's kind of like leans deeper into that as more animation technology has been coming out.
Like it's interesting. You can watch like behind the scenes of them creating the very first Snow White, because a lot of rotoscoping was used in that with like how the animals were made and like her dancing around. Like they took a actual film, I guess, in that time of a lady dancing around, and then they just traced over it frame by frame to get super realistic and smooth animations of Snow White dancing.
It's wild.
It is wild. All right.
The animation in this movie is trippy.
Super trippy.
Very, very trippy. Like when we say it leans into like now it's like not so much as rotoscope when it is. I feel like it's like this, where it's like it verges on uncanny a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, wait, I have a question for you. Would you say that like in the evolution of rotoscoping can almost be tied to like motion capture? Like it's kind of rotoscope. You're not going frame by frame, at least from what I know, but like it's kind of 3D rotoscoping.
Yeah, a little bit. 3D. It's a good way to put it. 3D rotoscoping.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense. My brain's a little bit fried after watching that movie.
Do you think that was like part of it? Like you said, the style was like trippy, and we haven't even gone over what the plot is about. But
at the beginning, I thought it was like, I don't even know.
Well,
because at the beginning, I was like, oh, they're doing it in this animation style, because really the only thing you see that's like really sci-fi is the suits that they have that like continually changes different like their face will transform to like 7 different faces. So they can never be detected by like any cameras or anything like that.
Yeah. So it's like there's like a crazy drug coming along, destroying the streets, and
Substance D.
Yeah. And then it's about
not to be confused with Compound V.
I know. I was thinking about that the whole time.
Or the a million other different
and so
pharmaceutical companies that release dangerous drugs to the public.
So it's about these cops like trying to find the source of this Compound D. No, Substance D.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they I got confused with the Compound V.
Yep.
And so I was thinking that like, do you think that they like purposely made it in this animation style with the rotoscoping to like make it look like the viewer is on Compound D?
Yeah, like
Substance D.
Like there's a lot going on. It's kind of hard to focus on one thing. Like,
yeah. Like the fact that you bring up that it's like trippy. Mm-hmm. Like they wanted you to almost experience what it would be like to actually be on the.
And I guess it kind of like the entire time, you're kind of more perceptive to be like, oh wow, shit's kind of wild. Just because you're looking at, like, I think for me it was the weirdest thing was like I mentioned during the movie is like this like how like 3D space is realized in that.
Yeah, and the way things really like
weird. And like
slide in the background and foreground, like the cars, and like when there's these big sweeping shots or people walking from a distance, it's super uncanny.
If you aren't paying attention strictly to the characters during like a big scene where they're like moving around the house or something, and you're just focusing on the background. I did that for like 10 seconds and I was like, I'm getting dizzy.
Yeah. It's disorienting.
Not to say that that's like a bad thing about the movie. It's just kind of like
some things were just
the fallback of using this animation style.
It like some of it was a little disorienting for sure, and like I could totally see it. There were like things that were like uncanny and just like kind of uncomfortable to look at. Like, have you seen those videos of like the AI? Like it's like super, or like
it's like so realistic, but there's something slightly off. Where it's just
it was creepy. Almost like that, like Uncanny Valley-ish.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. There was some unsettling stuff, and like it wasn't even trying to be unsettling. Like when Robert Downey Jr.'s character looks like a freaking bug, and he's all like. Almost like pulsating. It looked so weird.
It was very strange. So this movie takes place in a fictional world where the war on drugs has been lost, I guess is like the thing that they say in the trailers and stuff like that. And they're trying to find Substance D.
Oh, because it's such a bad drug. Like the drug won the war, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so they big spoilers if you like sci-fi stuff, and
big spoilers.
Honestly, we might do another episode because I feel like we're just barely scratching the surface to this. I feel this is the 100% a movie that I know I need to watch at least one more time and watch a video about like the deeper philosophical meanings of stuff.
You don't need to watch a video. You can figure it out.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, I agree with you. This is definitely a movie that I could see myself.
A lot of the times, yes, but this is one where I feel like there's some things where I'd be like, I'm kind of confused there.
I definitely think this is a movie that I need to watch again and watch again soon.
Yeah.
And that I would honestly enjoy watching again. Like,
yeah, same.
Like, I love movies like this where like you watch it through the first time and you're like, what the hell just happened? And then you're like, then you go back a second time and then you like pick up on more things and you're like, whoa, that's really cool. Well, I think it was kind of just about like, so Keanu Reeves is the main character and he plays an undercover cop. And then they, let's try and break it down. They like send him to surveil himself because they think that he is on drugs. And also we talked about the distortion suits a little bit. I can't remember what they called them, but which I want to get in.
Distortion suits.
I want to get more into those a little bit later, but so they don't know that Keanu Reeves is Keanu Reeves because he's got this disguised distortion suit, and then they
supposedly don't know.
Yeah, and they task him with surveilling himself,
or surveilling like him or in like these group of friends that he hangs out with. Because like I can't remember, he's like on the phone call or something, and they like, well, they just get suspicious of him because they don't know,
he starts acting weird.
Because when he's at work, he's wearing this distortion suit, and nobody knows, not even people at their own work knows who's underneath the distortion suits. So like,
as like a level of them being undercover cops, like not even the cops know who they are.
But yeah, he's put in the position where he's like monitoring himself. Well, he like they know, they've kind of figured out that like he's one of them, but they don't know which one.
If that makes any sort of sense.
If that makes any sense at all, yeah.
And you'll know what we're talking about if you watch the movie, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. And yeah, it's just about like his progression with like,
he like was losing his identity.
His like mind deterioration from this drug.
Yeah, and like since he was undercover, he felt like that. I mean, he kind of says it later that he needed to like fit in since he was undercover with the drug people to try and infiltrate it, but he ended up
just destroying his brain
on these drugs.
Yeah,
compound D, substance D,
substance D, the T virus.
The T virus. This makes me want to read it.
I want to read it too. Didn't you read Android's Dream of Electric Sheep?
No, it's on the list.
I'll be honest.
I have a physical copy of it.
You know this, but I'll let our listeners know. Blade Runner is one of the few movies that I think I've watched the most times in my life, but I've never finished it.
Oh, I have finished Blade Runner, but I've done like it took me so long to get through it. It took me like 3 or 4 viewings to get through the whole thing. So I totally understand what you mean.
I fall asleep so quick with that. And it's not that I don't want to watch it. Like every time I put it in, I'm like, I really want to watch this movie. Like it's about cyborgs like realizing their consciousness. Like that's cool. Like I like that shit. Like that stuff's really interesting. Like where does the line for like civil liberties and stuff like stop for like AI?
Hey, you should all check out the Nier Automata playthrough.
Yeah. Good point. Actually, no, this is really nerdy, but like I had this one class in the beginning of college where it was like the whole thing was like for the entire semester we only had to write like 4 papers, and like each paper was like a different prompt. And one of them or like just like a different theme, and you like created a prompt for it, like super like not creative writing, but like very free, just like do whatever you want. And one of the things I did was like how like if like AI became conscient, like self-aware and whatnot, like where would we have to like draw the line for like civil liberties for them?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
crazy.
Well, I love robots and shit, bro. I love robots.
Robots are cool.
Beep boop. There ain't no fucking robots in this movie though. This movie sucked.
0 out of 10. No, I'm glad that like this is a movie that I feel like hasn't gotten enough attention, if that makes sense. Like obviously this is not going to be for everyone.
It's like flown under the radar for a while.
Yeah. Like it won't be for everybody because it is a little unsettling, like we've said. Like some people won't be able to get past the animation, but I'm glad that we get to kind of shine a spotlight on this movie a little bit. So you should totally watch the movie. It's worth it.
Yeah, it's hard to come by movies like this where you said we're at the end. You're like, I feel like there's so much more, you know, and like you can keep thinking about it, and like you just come to more and more conclusions. It's very rare to find. Well, I guess I was gonna say rare to find good ones, but like these don't come along often.
I agree. You know how when we did adaptation, you said that this was like adaptation was in your top favorite movies now.
Okay, well, I'll reiterate. I have a list of movies on my phone. I wouldn't say top favorite movies, but if I like it enough to where I'd watch it again or like something, I put it in this list. I have like 50 movies in there.
I think that A Scanner Darkly gets added to my list.
I 100% agree, and I might do that now before I forget.
Like this movie is very cool in that way. I don't know. Like I said, I'm glad that we got to shine a light on it.
Yeah,
and
something very different.
Mm-hmm.
Like actually, like very.
It's uniquely, the diamond in the rough.
Yeah, the diamond in the rough for sure.
And then we haven't even touched on this, directed by Richard Linklater, who's a very, very good director. You should check him out. You should check out his stuff.
What else has he done?
I don't know everything he's done, but his very first movie was Slacker, and Slacker is actually the movie that influenced Kevin Smith to make Clerks. So that's actually how I found out about Richard Linklater, is because of Kevin Smith.
It always comes back to Kevin Smith.
It always comes back to Kevin Smith. But he did. So Slacker is his very first movie, and then if you remember that Boyhood movie that came out, where it was like they shot it as this kid grew up. That's a really good movie. We should put that on the list.
You think so? I that movie's always been. I don't know. I'm not a very slice of life type person. Or like coming of age, like that's not really my like. When I watch movies, it's never been. I mean, I'm not to shut it down.
No,
I would 100% watch it, but
yeah. No. Honestly, my major roadblock with getting through it was that it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes. Like it's a long ass movie.
That's a long ass movie.
But it's cool because of like how they shot it, like And after watching this, I'm like, damn, Richard Linklater like really pushes the boundaries like of what you can do creatively in the medium of film. And then, okay, here's another. Do
you think that A Scanner Darkly would have been hindered if it didn't have this type of like style?
100%.
Yeah, you think 100%. It did more to advance it, like push it forward then?
Well, I was thinking too. This movie has to be like incredibly faithful to the source material, because at the very beginning when this is where I want to bring up the distortion suits, because if we did a bad job of explaining it, because I wrote this down, like it's a great way to like visually portray this distortion suit, because they describe it as like a vague blur that's constantly shifting. Like there's no way that you'd be able to like make that look good in live action, you know, like it totally works. I like, you can see how easily like someone as creative as Philip K. Dick could like describe like, oh, this shifting suit that constantly shows different parts of different people. That's a vague blur that's constantly changing. Like, how do you like interpret that visually? And I don't think you could without this animation style.
No, I agree. For that at least, but like everything else, I feel like, well, that's what I was saying earlier when it was like, even though it's very cerebral sci-fi and like I don't even know, it's not that sci-fi. The only thing that makes it sci-fi is the suit and like the drugs, and that it's like kind of in the future.
And the alien.
But the alien wasn't real.
Billion eyes, that's true.
The alien wasn't real. Like it feels very grounded in reality. Like it's just like advanced technology. Or I guess that's sci-fi, but I don't know. Like that was the only part that I feel like screamed sci-fi to me. And I also feel like that the animation style like benefited, because like all the other scenes like I feel like could have worked, but then again, like you said, it shows like it potentially shows how like their mind is going
altered
wild.
Like I think it was also supposed to be like a visual representation of the drug. Oh, okay, so this is another, how it like distorts really reality.
Quick before I was gonna say, how much it would suck. I mean, obviously, labor of love. You're doing it because you want it to be good and you love the art. But imagine how much it would suck to sit down and just fucking crank out cell after cell of this movie.
You have to get a gigantic team of people.
Yeah. But even then, imagine just going into work and being like, "Fuck, dude, I have to animate 2 minutes of like this big ass movie." Like,
yeah. that would be crazy.
Probably not even 2 minutes with the amount of like layers they had of colors.
Yeah. Well, going into the like I said, I made a short rotoscope animation, and short is, I emphasize short. Like I only did 3 seconds of animation. I was doing 24 frames a second. Now I think I got 5 seconds of animation. Did I say 5 seconds before?
I don't know. 5 seconds of animation.
5 seconds of animation. And it took me like half a month to just get like, 200 frames. Like, oh my gosh, I could not even imagine how much effort it went into animating this movie. And I know all animation is like that, but I don't know. Animation is not for me, is what I learned. Unless you have a bunch of people like.
Well, that's the thing. When I was young, because I have a very, very big place in my heart for animation. I grew up on it. I still watch it. I still like to keep up with like more up and coming stuff, and just everything with that. But yeah, dude, actually being an animator. I used to want to be an animator when I was little, and then I grew up and I was like, yeah, that shit is a lot. Like huge props. Like I have mad respect.
It's so cool, and it doesn't get enough respect.
No, it does not at all.
It doesn't get like the proper limelight with how much work it puts in.
Also, because American audiences have fucking zero taste.
I know, like
the fact that I mean, not the shit on 3D animators, because 3D animation is like. A lot of the work that people do is still incredible, but like it just sucks that 2D animation has been just so swept away because they do so fucking poorly anytime they go into theaters.
And I feel like also is like a lot of people write off. Like I met a lot of people that just write off animation. Like, oh, animation is just for kids. Yeah. Like I don't watch animated content.
It's just like, all right, well, it's the same thing with video games. Like some stories can be told through a different medium and just be better. Like. It's like that's why 90% of the time video games don't work as movies because it's in a different medium, Dude, speaking
of that, so right now I'm currently reading through Neil Gaiman's Sandman because I want to read all the comics before I watch the show. And oh my gosh, it's so good. I highly recommend reading it. But like as I'm reading it, I'm scared to watch the Netflix show because I'm like, how do you translate this to the screen? Like there's no way it's going to be better than the comic. The comic is phenomenal.
Damn, maybe I should just read it then.
You should. You can borrow it if you want.
I'll borrow it.
Yeah.
I still have to read. Like I have 2 comics that I still need to read. Everything. There's just too much media out there. Too much to consume.
Mm-hmm. But
that'd be my superpower to just connect my mind. Like there's like a wire from my mind that just like it touches like a book or a movie, and I just like
immediately download it.
Yeah.
But then you're ruining the actual. How like process of like
but then I'm like meh, and I know everything about it.
But doesn't that take away the magic of like really getting into it?
But you still experience it.
That would be so dystopian to just plug it in and be like, bam, got it.
I guess. I'm thinking like the movie plays in your head and you experience everything, but like it's like within like half a second.
Okay. So you still get the full effect.
Do you think you'd be able to absorb? I bet theoretically, I bet you could consume every piece of media if you had that power. Like if you're in a library, like that had like everything. Think about how much shit you could get, and like just a day.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
What if that was like
It'd be like the fucking what's the thing from Game of Thrones? The crow.
I don't know.
The all-seeing thing. Whatever his shitty character Bran was.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I might have also said this before, but I've only seen the first and last season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't blame you.
All right, I want to shout out another. This is in my top 5 favorite movies of Richard Linklater. It's called Before Sunrise. So good.
Mm-hmm.
So good. It's probably my like even top 3 Before Sunrise. It's so good. So good. It's like it's a trilogy too. I think it goes Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight.
Oh wait, is this the fucking conversation one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
It's like this won't sound enticing to watch at all if you're not into this, but this was another movie I just like took a chance on, decided to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically like it stars Ethan Hawke and her name's Julie Delphi, I'm pretty sure. But so they meet on a train in Europe, and Ethan Hawke is going back to America that day. But so like he meets this girl on a train, and they decide like they kind of hit it off, and they decide they're going to spend the rest of their day, their one and only day together in this town, the last stop before Ethan Hawke has to go to the airport back to America. And like, she's from there. I think she's like French or something. Mm-hmm. And she was also on vacation, but like they live in different areas of the globe. And then the entire movie is just like one long conversation between them. Like, it's so crazy how like he's able to weave the dialogue to like keep you invested. Like there's like a pacing in the dialogue that's like,
I think you
and
say,
it feels so natural.
I think you said that it may not be enticing to a lot of people, but I feel like it is. People just don't realize it. Like, I mean, at the very basic level, just like Pulp Fiction, just them talking at the restaurant diner.
That's a good point.
Like that, where it's like, as long as it's interesting. I mean,
gotta have interesting characters.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a romance story, maybe a little bit more. I don't know. I've never seen it, so it's romance,
on the list.
It's on the list.
It's definitely
makes
romance
you ponder
drama
life a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
So like, in that regard, maybe it wouldn't be for someone. But I think saying just it's a movie about dialogue,
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'd watch it.
It's very.
But then again, you and I would watch a lot.
I put it on the list.
Perfect.
Oh, it's really good. Shit, we kind of went on a tangent. Didn't really talk about Scanning Darkly.
Oh my god, the new episode of Mob Psycho comes out tomorrow.
At the time of recording.
And Chainsaw Man comes out this month, and the new season of Bleach,
and the Mario trailer tomorrow,
and Bayonetta, and Resident Evil, and fucking
Gotham Knights.
I think there was more. That's all I remember.
Okay, well, if we pivot back to Scanner Darkly.
Nope.
So I was looking up a little bit about it because I was looking up the novel and stuff because, like I said, I want to read it, and it's not very long, 220 pages, but in the Wikipedia, in the brief research that I did, it said that a lot of the stuff that happened in it was inspired by Philip K. Dick's real life experience with drugs in the 70s. And like a lot of it is like firsthand accounts. And then spoiler alert, he like ended up having to go to rehab. And that's when he came up with the idea of like a rehab clinic being the like
distributor.
Yeah, the manufacturer and distributor
creating their own business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the police are also involved in it. Like,
interesting.
Crazy. So like, and then that little excerpt at the end of like all the people that they were all people that have died from drug use or were permanently damaged by drug use.
So those are people that he knew then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was gonna say the drug conversations in this movie are insane, but also I wonder if this is when you mentioned this too. Sorry, getting off tangent. I was gonna say really fast. The drug conversations, like all the people when they were talking under the influence, felt very believable. And also, Robert Downey Jr. is in this film. I wonder what state he was in during this.
Well, I looked it up. It said that he went to rehab in '96, and this movie came out in 2006. So he had the experience. He did have the experience.
He did do method acting this time.
Yes, he did do method acting. Yeah, it was a good movie. I really liked it. I can't wait to watch it again, to be honest.
Sci-fi movies, dude. Sci-fi just hits different.
I know.
Especially cerebral shit.
Like this.
Yeah.
And
if you're looking for other crazy... All right, what other crazy movies would you suggest for someone who's just trying to, like, think? Cerebral.
To think?
Cerebral. How would you describe cerebral, the cerebral movie to someone? I think it'd be like, it's a movie that makes you ponder a question that doesn't really have an answer.
Yeah, but shouldn't that be most good movies?
Yeah.
But I would say this is not on our sci-fi list.
Inception. Ghost in the Shell is my go-to always.
I would say this is not in our list for. I feel like Starship Troopers has got to be up there too.
Yeah, Starship Troopers. Yeah, I'd classify it. Yeah, for sure.
If you watch it from the perspective that the humans are the villains,
or just like how it like tries to make you sympathize with like an extremely fascist society.
Exactly.
And like the first 2 times you watch, you're just like, haha, yay, bugs.
Yeah. I watched a video about Starship Troopers. We keep going off on tangents, but I watched a video about Starship Troopers, and the guy was like, I think the bugs from Starship Troopers are probably the scariest alien ever put to screen. He's like, the bugs would be the last alien that I would choose to get killed by. He's like, I would take a xenomorph over the bugs from Starship Troopers any day. Because they've got the like armor. They're super hard to kill.
Well, it's not like it's gonna. I don't know. It's not like I'm gonna be very victorious against Predator as Xenomorph.
Yeah, true.
I guess it depends on how each of them kill me.
Oh, we should have done Terminator during this season.
Oh, dude, I think Terminator 2 is one of my most watched movies.
Me too. I could quote the whole thing for Terminator 2 for sure. Oh, the theme's so good. So good. But okay, so you asked about a good thinker sci-fi movie.
A good thinker. Think good.
Think good. A good cerebral sci-fi movie.
A big brain thinker.
Rick and Morty. No. But it would be, it's called Primer. We should put it on the
I've heard of
list.
Primer.
It's made by the director / writer is an actual like physicist, and it's all about time travel, and apparently
it's this one.
The most realistic or the most like accurate depiction of what time travel would
Isn't this one of the ones
like.
too where like people who are really into the movie like have like communities where they just have like kind of like
insane theories
about
it?
like the crazy shit you see, or like they have like shit posted on the walls and strings like connected to thumbtacks and shit trying to make sense.
There's some crazy diagrams of like people trying to figure out this movie.
Yeah,
it's crazy, and it's not very long either. It's like an hour and 11 minutes, and like that's a movie where you're watching it and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Like, Enemy. I think Enemy is another good one.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
Enemy is a really good one. Oh, God. I love Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, young Denis.
Young Denis.
Is it Villeneuve?
Villeneuve, I think, is what it is.
Denis Villeneuve? I thought it was Villeneuve. I don't know.
I think it's Denis Villeneuve.
He did Sicario, the new Blade Runner.
Dune.
Enemy, Dune. Yeah,
Prisoners.
I guess now he's a fucking living room name. Like
Prisoners, dude. I love Prisoners.
I always forget about Prisoners.
Prisoners is so good. Oh, Prisoners has got to be in my top 5 as well. Maybe top 10.
Prisoners is very good. I think I like Enemy a little bit more. Both Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, but you get Wolverine and now the Riddler in Prisoners, bro.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. I forgot about that.
So it's Mysterio, Wolverine, and the Riddler.
And they all get beat by She-Hulk.
Yeah. And she twerks with Megan Thee Stallion.
And then the episode ends.
All right, let me look up what our next movie is. Do you have anything else to say?
No. Good movie. Watch it.
Great movie. Yeah. The next movie is titled... Oh, yes. We're watching Fanboys.
Ayo.
This movie is going to be maybe a little whack, but we'll see.
But maybe not a little whack.
But maybe not a little whack. 2009 Fanboys.
Sweet. Well, until next time, everybody. We appreciate you listening, as always.
Yes, thank you so much.
Farewell.
Bye-bye.